exemption, food and beverage exemption, which any after school.
Okay,
Yes.
so not normal. Johnny, can you hear us? Can you give us like a thumbs up or something or?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
perfect. Order. Rowdy folks.
The snowman can probably come in, huh? That's what I said this morning. Although last week they picked again, didn't they?
Oh, 6 o'clock. All right, so it's 6 o'clock on April 9th. And we'll.
Exciting.
On April 9th, I'll call the order the special meeting of the Norfolk Board of Education. This is our April meeting. We had to postpone it from last week. First on our agenda is public comment. We don't have any members of the public joining us virtually, right? That's Janet. Okay. All right, then we'll move along
Can I just
to.
make a statement as a public person? Happy belated birthday.
Oh, thanks. Thanks very much. Okay, we're gonna look for the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of November 14th, 2023. I believe we now have enough members present to approve that meeting. Would you all like to take a moment to review that?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting on November 14th, 2023. Okay.
All those in favor?
Janet, you got a yes, no?
We need your yes, Janet.
Sorry, I'm here. I'm having computer trouble, but yes.
Okay, thank you.
And let's see, and also Jay?
I am missing my November minutes right here. Was I here?
Well, there's like, wait.
All right, I will abstain. I was absent, so I'll abstain from that, but I believe our motion.
Yay, finally.
And we also have our minutes from the regular meeting on March 5th. We'll take a moment to look at that, and then we're looking for a motion to approve those.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? No, motion carries. I didn't receive any written correspondence. Superintendent's report.
The superintendent has no earth-shaking news to report. I'm going to defer my time to the presentation and then any budget discussion. Unless you want to talk about budget right now.
No,
So-
why don't we do the budget after our presentation, but maybe everybody just take a moment to take a look at the checks, see if you have any questions about this.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct, Bill.
I can do that.
Maybe do we have a quick version? May I ask what JW Pepper and Son Inc. is?
It's a music, music supplies.
And New England Steamway, is that?
That's custodial, that's custodial.
Oh, like for.
For the paper. All right. Okay. All right, well, barring any questions for those check authorizations, why don't we move to the principal's report and the state of the school presentation?
Okay. So you have a little pack in front of you that
basically gives you information about our students, our teachers, our school climate data from our students, and our current mathematics and literacy performance and growth, along with the goals and action steps that we have put into place this year from the beginning of the year. So I will try my best. That's a lot of information. I'm going to try my best to orient you to this, what this is telling us. And I encourage you to ask any questions. So the information that we have about our students is listed here in two ways, just our overall total number, as well as the percentages. I think this is important so you can know who our student body is right now. We currently have 59 total students. K-6 is where we get all of our assessment data from. And that information is present throughout the rest of the report. I think, what is the most important information to glean from this is that we currently have, a fairly high needs student body. And a high needs student is identified as a student with a disability, a multilingual learner. That's what MLL is, or a student eligible for free and reduced lunch. And just for your information, up in the top box, it should be noted that we have in pre-K to 2, 10 students who qualify for free and reduced lunch, but only 4 of those students are not in another high needs category. And that's what that means 2 and 3 through 6. There are 11 students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. One of them is not in another high needs category, so nobody has been counted twice, as high needs. So
I think in the pre-K through 6, it should be 17 for disabilities.
yes, it should. Thank you.
That's 16. What do you think?
It
Oh,
should be 17.
I have a question on that.
Yes.
Partially because I'm new to it.
Yeah.
How are disabilities defined that a third of the student by disability?
That's a very good question. So there are many ways that students can qualify for a disability. In this situation, a student, if they have an identified disability, has an IEP that goes with it, which means that they require specialized instruction through a special educator to achieve the goals that the team has identified. So you can have a specific learning disability to qualify for an IEP. You can have a medical need that impacts your academic and or social emotional functioning. You can have an emotional disability that can qualify you for an IEP. Amy? Behavior. Amy's a special ed teacher, so fill in any blanks that I'm leaving out.
And is this proportion
Speech.
general?
I did not include only speech and language students in this amount.
Oh, okay. But OT students again.
So students cannot receive OT unless they have other related services. So no, just OT students. So this number is high, Walter, and it's like that is, this is not typical. And I think the reason why I share this information with you is so you can have some context for what the data is going to reveal, I think.
But am I right in reading this to say that it looks like we're aging out of that? Like, so I see 3rd through 6th grade have 3/4 of the.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That is true. We have very much so the disabilities are concentrated with the student body in grades 3 through 6. And that's, some of that is we, as students get older, the gap widens and the interventions we put in place.
Should we expect those numbers to, so for these 4?
Yeah.
Should we expect those numbers to increase if it's the same?
I don't know that expect it, but I think that it's more likely that a student is identified, I feel like, this is anecdotally, with a disability in a higher grade.
Okay.
I don't know, would you agree with that by and large?
We don't want to test sooner than we
Sure,
have to. So,
that's-
there's so many developmental things involved. So it's typically by third grade that we're deciding. Now we've met all the requirements in terms of ensuring that the child has had an appropriate developmental program, which is a requirement. You can't place a child in special ed unless you can document that they've had developmentally appropriate learning. So we need all of that in place. And so it typically doesn't begin before third grade, unless we have children who come to us like from birth to 3 diagnosed with other things. So it does happen, but
Yeah, it does, but
Thank you.
yeah, oh, you're welcome. So, you can read the percentages down there. I think that, there are times where students have a disability and it can be mildly impactful, right? And there are other times where students can have a disability and it can be significantly impactful. And, our current student body has a mix of both, but like you noted, Walter, our students in grades 3 through 6, they have a variety of learning needs that we have, we've done a great job providing them with what they need, but it has required additional resources that we have put in place. So on the next page, at the beginning of the year, when I told you about our school goals, one of my goals was, addressing teacher retention. And so this kind of funky little document, I'm going to just walk you through this. So what this tells you is when we have a multi-age model, this is the number of students, this is the number of teachers students would typically have without any, retirements or, leaves or whatever. This is the number in the second column. This is the number of teachers our current student body has had from 2018 to 2024. So in 6th grade, you can see when we started off the multi-age model, we started with 2 sections of a grade, so that's why like one student in 6th grade, this student had more teachers than another student in 6th grade because of the dividing of the teachers. One teacher was a student's teacher for 3 years, while another teacher was only there for 1. So that just is, the thing. But I think it also should be noted, and Mary Beth and I discussed this, that in a traditional model, none of our students have had like proportionately any more teachers than they would have had if they were in a yeah. So I mean, it's not like we're doing them a disservice. In a traditional model, they would have as 6th graders potentially 8 teachers, anyway. So that's that information. Of those teachers that students have had between 2018 and 2024, that next column lists the number of teachers who were new to Botel. It then lists their experience in the next 3 columns, 0 to 5 years, 5 to 10 years, and 10+ years of experience.
This is teaching experience overall, not teaching
Yes.
experience at the time.
That is correct. Yep. Below, you'll see the percentage of educators that have been new to the district between 2018 and 2024. So that includes our instructional assistants and any educator. Through and analyze the data. There were multiple reasons why teachers left. When I was hired here, there was a very much so a veteran staff, and a third of our teachers have retired. They were 30-year veterans. And then other reasons why teachers, we've had attrition. Some teachers were non-renewed, and then other teachers left for personal or professional reasons. So
How have you been here?
this is my 8th year. 8th year, yeah. And below you can see, our goals and action steps as a school so far. Any questions anybody has on that information? So again, you'll remember at the beginning of the year, Walter, not you, but just, for your information, I think another factor that needs to be contextualized is that, there's an impact from a professional development lens, from, the continuity for students. We've always hired excellent educators. Our beginning teachers have been some of the best beginning teachers I've ever worked with. But when people new come into the building, even with experience, they're working in a new culture with a new way of doing things and new curriculums. And it takes people, some time to get up and going.
The second
Yeah.
grade says number of teachers at a time is 2. and
Yes.
then the number of teachers with experience, I'm only seeing 1.
That's because they've had the same, oh no. Oh, that's a typo on my part. So the second graders have had 2 teachers, and it should be 2 with 10 plus years of experience. Thank you. You can't imagine the number of bodies I've had look at this stuff. And it has been extremely helpful in every situation. But
I just want to put
Yeah.
out the staff retention percentage.
Yeah.
Is gonna be something that if this is public, people are going to come back at, because that's been one of the problems that we had.
Yep.
Earlier, so when you look at this number, raw number 82%
mhm,
of new to the district, like that's, I feel like, I just wanted to just put that out there, that
Yep.
that's gonna be something that we're questioned about.
Mhm.
regularly.
yeah. And,
Correct
again,
me if I'm wrong, Lauren.
Yeah.
That's paraprofessionals.
Yep.
And that includes new,
Support
like,
staff.
over the year, we have had new positions. So we have a new language arts specialist, a new math, because they hadn't existed before. So
Mhm.
they're counted in this too. So this really
Yeah.
shouldn't be public without someone.
Well,
Speak
that's,
to it.
yeah, and I'm wondering, is there a classroom teacher percentage we could get?
yes.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
The TK and Mrs. Crush and like they've all been used.
All
since
brand new,
2018.
right?
Right.
So it's not reflecting turnover,
Well,
but
but that's
it
what
would be
that's
for
what it looks
Steve,
like,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's gonna be
Agreed.
an issue, so I just
Absolutely.
wanted to point that out.
Just classroom teachers.
Question. Can somebody hear me? Can you just hold up what you're looking at? I don't think I have exactly what you're looking at.
You don't, Janet.
Oh, okay. I was going crazy here looking for a paper.
I passed it out at the meeting.
Okay, okay. I wanted to make sure I wasn't going crazy.
For you, if you want to pick it up, or we can put one in the mail for you,
Oh,
Janet.
no worries, no worries. I just
I can
wanted
also
to,
email it to you if you want, Janet.
I'm gonna text you a
it's,
picture.
it's okay. I thought I was
Okay.
missing something that was going crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Onboarding or something, like it's.
Mhm.
Yeah, onboarding staff or something, yeah.
Because it's not a retention of who you kept, it's an onboarding of who's new.
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
It's just using a different word.
Different
Describe
title
it.
for this.
Yeah.
So maybe we can even just get rid of that. And we can just say % of educators new to the district.
Right.
Or we can get, again, I'm presenting this to you and you can decide how and if you would like this to be,
Mhm.
published. I will find out the classroom teacher percentage.
Thank you.
On the next page, this year we purchased, like many of the feeder schools, a standardized measure to measure our school climate
We're looking
data.
at this page.
Yep, on
There's an
page
extra
4.
Page that we just went over, so I just want to make sure people.
Oh, yep. Thank you. So this is an assessment I think I told you about in the fall, and they give this again up at Northwestern. So it's nice to have data that's consistent, that if Northwestern says, hey, we're seeing this, what can you tell us about this student? We can look at this data and it actually, means something to them as well. So the assessment is broken down into 3 sub groups. That there's a K-2 assessment, a 3-5 assessment, and a 6th grade assessment. We have 4 students in 6th grade. It's not recommended to share data of any sort from a percentage of students that is so small. So that has been omitted for student privacy purposes. What this is telling you is can be a little confusing. In this assessment, there are 3 factors that impact school climate and a student's overall satisfaction with their school experience. Contextual factors, self-efficacy factors, and motivational factors. And then this assessment breaks this down into those subcategories that you can see listed below. And if you're interested and have glasses, you can look at what do those mean below. So that is right from the assessment itself, and it will tell you what those things measure. So the normed data is a result that tells how our school is doing within those cohorts, and how our students compare against a population that's been standardized. So you look at those and you're like, well, only 45%, but that actually equates to high satisfaction with their school experience. So the chart below is for all of the normed data. And all of our normed data is, falling into that 31st through 100th percentile, which is high satisfaction with the school experience, with the exception about feelings about school for our students in grades 3 through 5. The mean data is just our kids exclusively. So that'll tell you the percentage of students who responded positively to those questions. In grades K to 2, I mean, that data is very strong. 82% to 98% of students responded positively. And in grades 3 through 5, there are areas of strength, like our students' attitudes towards their teachers, or their perceived learning capability, or their preparedness for learning. And there are areas for growth, like a student's feelings about their response to the curricular demands, or their self-regard as learners. So what we can do as a school with this information is we can look at how the interventions we put in place yield a positive result. So when we give this assessment back again in the spring, we're going to be able to look at to what extent does this data change. This assessment gives us tools that teachers and particularly our mental health professionals can utilize to support students who may have flagged on this assessment, and things we can do school-wide.
And I know I completed it and I don't remember, are these all Likert scale items? Like,
That's a really good question. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Where did this data come?
Where did this come from?
I mean, who did you?
This is from our kid. Yes. Yep.
So you compiled it.
Yeah. Well, the test does.
Oh,
After
I
the
see.
kids take it, it's, submitted and computerized, and then they distill it down to us in reports that we
Okay,
can
well,
use.
see, this isn't what the.
Oh, no. No, this is student.
okay, so this
And,
is.
and so you don't score it, it's scored.
Yes.
Correct.
We do not score it. It is scored
And so,
by a
like,
computer.
When, like, feelings about school, is that like, those are several questions as
Yes.
asked about that? So it's not just like.
And
so
it's one
not
of those,
just, like,
right.
You feel good.
Do you feel good about
100%,
school?
and I feel
Right.
bad, that's yours.
No. Yeah, there's multiple questions, and I think the way the test is designed, even test questions can impact 2 areas depending, can impact 2 factors. So it's a compilation of a variety of questions.
So
And
that
we're
you
not,
might overlap on questions based
Yep.
on the subject.
right.
I'm just curious about the scale. It just seems
Yeah, 31.
like.
Right.
I don't know, if I was like asking someone how I was performing and they said, well, less than a third, I'd say, oh, highly satisfied.
Yeah.
Like, pretty strange to me. I don't know.
Yeah. I know, when we looked at that, I was like, well, geez, I'm curious about why that is green. But I guess it goes to the way that the, standardization process occurred with how they analyze all of the results across the nation and come up with, I don't have the answer.
So yeah, if 50% is the average, like, of high, then actually positive. So 60 something percent is like really high satisfaction,
Mhm.
national.
Well, and it's interesting, if you look at like our mean data and then the normed data, 92% of students having a positive feeling about school in grades K to 2, like that's pretty darn good, I'm thinking, but it only equates to 45%, like the 45th percentile. So
Right.
that's kind of,
Doesn't
it doesn't really,
Makes sense.
like, even 98% of our students feel prepared for learning, but it only equates to a 67th percentile, that,
Yep.
right? Like, it's kind of, I don't know how they do that. And so I think the long and short of it is, the more actionable data is the mean data, because we can look for growth over time.
It's like there's a confirmation bias among the children when they're completing it, like reporting higher than maybe the actual list.
Yeah.
Right? So that
Mm-hmm.
like 92% say, yeah, it's wonderful, when almost every other kid also says they have positive.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, my assessment weakness comes out when we start.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how like 79% of our students in 3 to 5 have positive feelings, but it's the 29th percentile.
Yeah.
Which is really only, 0.2 from.
Right. I mean, that's one student who didn't answer right, like, that's what it boils down to for our kids.
As a teacher who has student surveys every semester and I'm like 12 students in the class, if one student says strongly disagree.
Yeah.
It completely
Skews,
skews
yeah.
everything.
Right. Right.
And
So,
we're dealing with such small numbers here
Yeah.
that it's.
Yeah, it's very, volatile data, I guess. It's subject to change,
do you have the
from
name
year
of
to
the instrument?
Yes, it's called Renaissance Fundamentals. It was the pass, but I can get you, there's a link on the back page, which doesn't help you because this is paper, but I could link, send you understanding the past data if that's at all helpful and you would like to look at that.
I just,
I'm-
just.
Yeah, absolutely.
Say it again, Renaissance. what was it?
It's called Renaissance Fundamentals. It's a new name that no one likes because pass is much easier to say. So when you hear it referred to, right. I know. So.
It's fine. Maybe they named it something so the kids can't Google it.
That's funny.
Like, no, don't know.
That's funny. So,
No, it's good for, these are like really good numbers and. I think it makes sense, like self-regard of students maybe not having so much self-esteem and definitely not as good in 3 to 5 as it is in K-2. because
Yeah.
of just
the nature of the
developmentally.
learners,
Yeah.
right? And I think, we know that group of students, school is harder for them. So I think it's, as a result, this data doesn't, look as strong as the K-2 students because, it's
They're
hard.
above the mean of the 57 percentile.
Yep.
They still feel stronger than other students.
Yeah.
What is is this the US or like what's the
Yeah.
population?
I think so. I think it's I don't know if they give it in, like,
Well, I mean, it's
England
not
or-
regional or anything, it's not like.
no, this is compared to a population across the nation. Yes.
I'm so happy to see that the students do this, it's not just parents
Yeah.
reporting.
Yep.
That's really great.
Well, and it was an excellent assessment in that it's not just like it gives you information, it also gives you resources.
Mhm.
So that's, been really helpful for our, mental health professionals who plan small groups. And I think, the main goal is there are kids who present one way and teachers may not know that there are things below the surface. And this has been useful in identifying kids that we want to, kind of keep an eye on because they come to school every day and we would judge them as being happy and well-adjusted and, not at risk for anything school related that might be difficult. And, any insights that we can get and work on and share with families is important.
Well, we still ask college freshmen the same questions like.
Yeah.
Like we do pre and post every year.
Yeah,
So. I mean,
Yep.
it's something that educators are always.
right, because these are the things that impact learning. Thanks. And then the last 2 pages look at our current, so 3 times a year, we give universal screeners that are standardized measures that give us information from a standardized lens on how our kids are progressing with their learning throughout the year. We set goals as a school based on this data. And it's one piece of a very comprehensive look that we do at our students that also includes curriculum-based measures like end of the unit math tests or writing samples. That is not here at all. These are only standardized measures. And so I want to just, again, caution you that this is one glimpse on one day of how students do. The first is showing you in the fall, the percentage of students who are meeting or exceeding the goal on the different assessments. So we use 2 screening assessments, the Acadience math assessment and the STAR math assessment, which is given in 1st through 6th grade. The last column is the Smarter Balanced assessment, which is not a progress monitoring tool. It's a summative assessment. We are required, as you know, to give it every spring. And so this data from spring 23 is not our current students, just so you know. This includes 6th graders that are now 7th graders at regional or wherever they're going to school. But we use this information to set goals for how students are going to make progress. So in the fall, you can kind of look at K to 6, how our students performed, and then K to 2 and 3 to 6, you can look at the growth or the percentage change in the winter, and then you can look at our targeted performance goals for the spring. And then underneath, it shows how students grow. So this test not only tells us how students are performing, it also tells us how they're growing. And there's a lot to celebrate in that data. Like right now, we know our kids, we would like them to be performing better on these standardized measures, but they also tell us how much are they growing? Are they growing like a typical year's amount of growth, or are they growing at an accelerated rate? And so the data in some, especially on the STAR data, I think is
So if I'm reading this
encouraging.
right,
Yes,
the growth is positive, but
yes,
the performance is not. It's decreasing
yes.
quarter after quarter, which is.
It did. So, yep, if you look at overall K to 6, 55% of students met or exceeded the goals in the fall and 49 on the Acadience in the winter. And so then we dig into that data and we look at why. So, just so we don't just say, oh, well, too bad for you, not performing where you need to be. When we analyze the students, 13 of them are, students with already existing plans or high needs students. One of the students was new, and a high needs student. We didn't assess him or her in the fall, but did in the winter. So again, one student can make a big impact. This also doesn't account for students who might be 1 or 2 points away from meeting the goal, so again, we had 2 students who were, 1 point away on that day.
Have we only been doing this for 1 year?
No.
Because it might be helpful to see a bigger trend, like
Yes.
3-year trend.
And I have that information too and can give that to you like on our strategic school plan. Yep.
How aligned the illustrative math curriculum is to the standards that are assessed on the Acadians and the STAR in the fall and winter?
Good question. So, not exactly. I mean, I can tell you the big difference between these two assessments and what they have to do on the Smarter Balanced or on illustrative is that both of these assessments are timed. So the impact, if, if you have a student who knows the concepts, but is not fluent with computation, when you combine those scores, that is, that will be impactful.
So for the Acadians and the STAR, when they take the benchmarks, do students who have accommodations for extended time, do they extended time?
Not, we can give them a little bit more when, yes. Yes, when we can give them more time, and we do on the STAR, we do. For the Acadians, no. It's basically a minute, to a 3-minute assessment. And after analyzing that data, what it's telling us and how we've responded is that our kids know the concepts much better than they are able to do them quickly. So we have created, so through our win time that we have had since the beginning of the year, which is a time where kids get personalized instruction according to their needs, the teachers have responded by, utilizing various instructional methods to increase that fluency and speed. So kids are, like quicker. I mean, there is a thing to being procedurally fluent, and we want to support kids in that. There is a way to, you learn concepts, and initially you are learning strategies that help you make sense of the math. And over time, those strategies have to be replaced with more efficient strategies. And so, like in 6th grade, one of the standards is that students have to use a standard algorithm for long division. Well, when they learn that in, 3rd grade and 4th grade, we don't teach them that, because if we teach them in a way that research shows, if you help them understand the concepts, then what they do later actually makes sense. So, as a result, to this, 5 of the students who don't already have an individualized plan are being seen through our academic support program to accelerate their learning. And, we give information to teachers, parents. We meet as a team to review that progress. So those things are all in the works.
Something I'm struggling a little bit to understand is so looking at like the fall numbers. And
Mhm. Looking at the fall numbers and the what?
Then the winter. numbers.
Yep.
Then if you look at the percentage of students demonstrating typical to high growth,
Mm-hmm.
if we have high percentages of the kids demonstrating typical to high growth,
Mm-hmm.
how does that equate with the performance number going
They
down?
started at a lower level. So they're growing quicker, but they're still not hitting the performance levels, is how I interpret it.
And this
That
is
is
a
how
good
you would
time,
interpret it.
Or are the kids, and I'm curious if you look at it more like in a granular way, are the kids who are struggling for like struggling more as the year goes on? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
is there more? Is
That
there
is
more of
a-
a gap between? Is that more?
That can
showing
happen.
So that
Yep.
you'll have like the kids who are high performers they're demonstrating high growth.
But sorry.
But you can also have kids who, are starting off, there's going to be a scale, right? Like below benchmark would be the lowest part of that scale. And if you have kids that are performing there, but they grow into the next level, they're going to grow really well, but they're still not reaching that benchmark yet.
Like in the winter, you said there's a couple of students that miss it by a point or two, but they're still gaining more, even though they haven't made that achievement, they're growing from the baseline.
And there could be high performing students that don't grow at all, because they're just gonna keep
Yeah.
getting that meets needs or whatever it is.
Yeah.
and this is a good time to remember that in grades 3 through 6, only half of the kids have been with us since kindergarten. So when you're testing them in third grade, especially 4th grade, 5th grade, they may have only been with us for a year or 2 years and haven't had the benefit of a developmental program. So it really is a significant factor, the increased mobility
Yeah.
that we have.
That was one thing we didn't, point out as a factor, but, that's something that we talked about last year. Our sixth grade, one of the questions you asked was, how many of those kids have been with us for their entire hotel school experience? And, we were surprised to learn that it was, about half, maybe less than half, I think. So that is also the case, that the current students that we have, 48% of them have been with us since kindergarten.
Is the real it's the Acadians reading.
Mhm.
Study what?
Yeah, so that was an administration. So we administered that assessment. One of our teachers who was new to us this year in a previous district had experience administering it, but did not complete the one piece of it that was needed to come up with a composite score. So we that was more of an administrative error than anything else.
And then suddenly learned how to
Yeah,
read.
yeah. And that assessment, it measures in those grades, it basically measures how fluently and accurately you read. And then you have to do a bit of a retelling. And the retelling part was the part where there was the discrepancy. So we weren't able to come up with a like,
Can I ask one other question about the?
yeah, yes.
How many years have we had the illustrative math curriculum?
This is, so we piloted it in 2020. So this is year 3.
And the other elementaries, the K6s in Region 7, they're all using illustrative math?
Yes.
Is there any feedback from?
The regional middle school about the preparedness of students who had that program? Are they seeing a different, there's no feedback, or they're not seeing a difference?
They're not giving us feedback. And I think one of the reasons is the impact of COVID that has impacted math. That happened at the same time all of this happened, and math was most hard hit from a performance level for students.
But the feedback from kids and teachers has been very, very positive across all of the schools.
I mean, as a parent, I'm seeing my kids with numbers in amazing ways.
Yeah.
Not using the standard algorithm. But
Yeah.
being able to, break apart and reassemble
Yeah.
numbers. And I'm just wondering if there's, if we're getting hit on the standardized
Standardized tests because the curriculum goals and objectives don't align well with the standards or skills that are assessed in the Smarter Balance.
So on the smart, well, I mean, I would say the resources we use to vet the, like the K6 reports where it vets the curriculum and how aligned it is to the standards, and, it comes out all green, which then you can deduce, hits all the standards that show up on the Smarter Balanced. But just because you learn something in one context doesn't mean it transfers, right? So again, one of the things that we're doing to support kids and making those generalizations is, using those, they have benchmark assessments that you can use throughout the year to kind of help kids see how what they've learned, it, shows up in another way. So teachers are giving those to kids, not necessarily as an assessment, but more as a teaching tool, because,
I was
there's
just
a
wondering
lot
if
of
we had other
assessment.
information about how our students were performing in math as they got older. other
Yeah.
than-
Yeah, no, yep. And then finally, this is the literacy performance and growth data from the fall to winter, including the spring targets. The Acadians reading assessment is a K4 assessment. It really measures foundational skills like accuracy and fluency. We are not using it in grades 5 and 6 because we have other measures, and the state tells us particular assessments we have to give according to the laws about, ensuring students with who are at risk for dyslexia are appropriately screened. And, you know, K-3, that is one of the approved assessments, which is why we use it. So, anyway, that's why you don't see K-6, you know, kind of targets there. It's K-4. So 82% of our kids in the fall were meeting the benchmarks, 78 in the winter. That basically amounts to, you know, one student who, you know, didn't grow as expected. And so that's an important thing to note. And then we already talked about in grades 3 through 6. So, you know, that data is, you know, trending positively, as is the STAR data. And the growth data. So that's a positive, you know, trend to be seeing. And again, kind of the same thing that you should know. We looked at, you know, the different factors to interpret the data. You know, the same factors that I mentioned for the math are the same factors that, you know, could potentially impact the literacy growth. Oh, yeah. So the other thing that you should know, like when we set our targets, we look at past performance, but we also, you know, incorporate students who are new to the district. So you might be wondering, why would we have a target that's lower for growth on the Acadians, you know, reading in the spring? And we have to account for, you know, students that come into the district, and some students, you know, join us. They may already have a program in place and, you know, a specialized instruction. They might come with disabilities or other factors that impact, you know, that are impactful. And so we try to create obviously we want all of our students to reach the goal, but we try to create targets that are reasonable for this time frame, given, you know, where that student is, how long they've been here, their you know, profile as learners. And so, you know, I'm trying to explain why you would, it's not that we have low expectations. Things change throughout the year and we, you know, respond accordingly.
Well, thank you for all this data. I know that we'll keep looking at it. It sounds to me like, one question was if we could try to see those trends over time.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other question the board has for Lauren that she could answer for us for next time? On top of their minds right now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We just asked what, so like the winter, it just seems like winter's really like difficult. Is there other factors as far as like maybe like are kids out sick or like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I just wonder.
There's a big attendance, you know, impact potentially at times. So, you know, we give, so the calendar in which we give the assessments, there's never a perfect time to do this work. But we try to align it to our ways that we try to intervene. So right when the kids come back, and like this year, I think it was the second week of school. That's when we kind of took our first, like, where is everybody, you know, after the summer? And then right when they get back from the winter break, we kind of, welcome back. Here's a whole bunch of tests. No, but we do try to spread it out so it isn't overwhelming. And we're doing the same thing in the spring. I think, you know, sometimes the kids are just like, oh my gosh, this is so much. We don't want to over assess them, you know, by any means, but I think it's important to have multiple measures that allow us to say, wait a minute, this, you know, when we look at the data, we say, okay, well, this, you know, was a flag, but they did really well here. How do we have any concerns based on their classroom performance? No. Okay, so this might have been just an outlier. Or, oh, they flagged on this Acadians and they flagged on STAR. we're gonna dig deeper. You know, then we have some other diagnostic tools that we can use to say, you know, was this a fluke? You know, were they not feeling well that day? I mean, we've had kids like bomb on the Smarter Balance because their dog, you know, their pet died the day before. I mean, it's like, that's how things go sometimes. Kids aren't, you know,
Is after break the best time to test? I would think that that would be.
Yeah.
Ideal, because aren't people kind of like not in school?
yeah, well, and sometimes, you know, we tend to kind of, you know, we give a little get back, welcome back to school thing, and, you know, and then it's more towards the mid-January mark that we do that. And I, you know,
I
it's
suppose as
kind
long
of
as the
typical.
same- as long
Yeah,
as it's the same.
yeah, it is, you know, that's how we've done it. I think when I talk to my colleagues, that's kind of the typical, because then that gives us another opportunity to, you know, reassess and monitor, and then maybe put new plans into effect for students who maybe are kind of flagging, you know, based on this data. We do it more for who do we maybe need to intervene with and how.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your patience with going through that and your good questions.
So this is a tricky meeting today because we need to adjourn in time to go to the board of finance meeting. We're gonna put forth our budget. And it's important that we talk about our budget because we need to change that. So let's move now to, thank you, Lauren, again. We're gonna move to our standing
Yep.
committee reports. And we're gonna go straight to finance, and we're gonna talk about the budget. John was not able to be here. Although he did send a written, written summary to read for the board of finance. But do you want to talk to us a bit more about the adjustments that have happened to the budget since we last met?
Sure, but before we go there, can we just squeeze in a quick vote on the healthy food and talk about promotion dates, because we need to have that before we leave tonight. It should be a real quickie. This is language that we vote on every single year. We participate in the state food programs, and it gives us the options for having exemptions. So
Okay, all right, so, let's see, do we have the language?
it is right behind the green pack.
Just to- I'm ready.
I'll make a motion to approve the language for the healthy food option. Section 1021. 5F.
Okay, we have a second for that? Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Janet?
Yep. Did you hear me? Sorry.
Yes. Okay, that motion carries. Then we'll also be looking for a second vote on the language for a combined food and beverage exemption.
I will make an emotion for that.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No? All right, that motion carries.
Thank you. And then our now last day of school is June 12th, I believe, Wednesday the 12th. So we are proposing that we have our promotion ceremony on Monday, the 10th. There's a conflict with the middle school graduation on the 11th. Otherwise, that would have been our first choice, but we do have a student who has a sibling, and it's tough on parents when they can't be in two places at one time. So Monday, June 10th looks like the best. We only have 4 students. It's going to be a very small promotion ceremony, but be that as it may, it's a very long-standing tradition, and we'll do our best to make it a really lovely send off for the kids. But we do need a vote, and then to get that out to parents as soon as possible.
So for Monday, June
And
10th.
At what time? 7 or 6? What
it's
time?
been six.
Yeah,
Which makes it early enough, people can go out and celebrate a little bit, 'cause it's a school night, you know.
All right, would anyone like to make a motion that we set the sixth grade promotion ceremony for Monday, June 10th at 6 p.m.?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries.
We heard you, Janet, thank you.
Will we be inviting the recipients of sixth grade awards to the May Board of Education?
I'm sending an email about that right now.
Thank you for that, Walter.
Yeah.
Walter, I think it was last year, some years ago, some number of years ago, can't remember now. There was, we made a decision that instead of having the end of the year awards presented during graduation, that we would invite students to Board of Ed meetings to be.
Lucky Phillips.
You know, what, our kid?
They ask a lot of times, so they're not going to check.
Well, this way they get to be celebrated. There's no.
And they don't have to pay for the whole meeting. They get their check, they get some, their acknowledgement.
That's like, wait, you.
Send them off with instructions for their parents to take them out for. Okay, so the budget. After our last board meeting, we brought down copies of the budget to town hall for all of the Board of Finance folks, and I had a conversation with Mike Scania. And he at the time was very receptive to the budget, very understanding of the need for the increase that we had. And was fine with that. I think he was largely distracted by how big an impact our Region 7 was, so ours looked pretty mild. Shortly after that, I got a call from Shared Services that a student who we had anticipated coming back from an outplacement was supposed to be coming back. So we budgeted for that transition to the Bridges program. 2 weeks ago, I got a call saying, we just heard from the school and they have done a 180 and this child has regressed again. And they are saying that there's no way this child can be transitioned into a different program. So the tuition and transportation for that child is going to be well over $200,000. So we backed out the money that we had in the budget for Bridges and it came out to what, 200 something?
It's 185 for the tuition, and then we didn't increase transportation because we had that budgeted for her.
Right. So, you know, I called Mike and I said, you know, here's the deal. And he said, well, those things happen. And I said, oh, yes, they do. Thank you. He was incredibly, kind. I don't know what the word is, but he said, I will support your budget. So it's beyond our control. There's nothing we could have done about it, but the fact that there won't be any of like past kind of pushback, you might recall that last year, special ed increased and they were suspicious that we were really going to spend it on special ed. I don't know what they thought we were going to spend it on, but in any event, I don't anticipate any pushback tonight, and I'm.
I believe that's called raging regret.
Right. Where's that tuition is not in the previous budgets.
Correct.
Right. So where was that? I mean.
It was in the Bridges, it was in the special ed shared services.
The tuition for this year was not in the budget.
Oh, it wasn't because the child moved into Norfolk in July after the budget. So we have had that expense, which was unanticipated. We have taken every possible grant dollar. We will get 50,000 in excess costs return. So we've done everything to mitigate, but there's still a chance that we're going to have to say to the town, we have an overage of, I don't know, it might be $30,000 that the town's going to have to cover. And they understand that, they know that, and it's not going, that won't be a problem. But it wasn't in this budget last year because the placement occurred after the whole budget process. I thought you meant the budget.
Yeah, no, because I didn't notice it in the expended or adopted budget
Yeah.
for this year.
Right, and it
Yeah.
was, yeah.
It wasn't
and
in
it
there
wasn't
because
in
of that.
The budget that we gave you last month either, but you're right, it wasn't in the current year budget.
But it's,
Would it show up somewhere though in the
Right.
expended column? Shouldn't it be
It will at
somewhere?
the end of the year, also what we expended. I mean,
Oh.
in your budget, monthly budget that I give you, it shows, it should be.
in special. ed.
And when you look at the checks,
yeah,
you're like,
158,000.
why, what's this check to
Yeah.
correct? Yeah, that's, that's,
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I
Yeah,
was, more
exactly.
these $40,000
Yeah.
checks. to
yeah,
come.
yes,
Right.
what is this? Yes, that's what that is.
Just if people ask, like, oh,
Yeah.
it wasn't there before,
Yeah.
Right.
just so we understand and we can, people.
Well, I
ask.
wish we could make a law that says, you know, if you're gonna be, you know, impacting our budget, we need to know before April, but so, you know, we're, you know, fingers crossed that maybe this family will move, I don't know, but
Right.
at this point, between the 2 years, we could have bought this family a house in Colbrook. And it would have been cheaper than educating this child.
How? Is the student very young or are they like in the age? out?
First grade.
First, oh, so this is like
Mhm.
the next.
This is, yes,
6 years.
if they continue. They're not homeowners, so there's always a chance that they might move. I don't know, but it's
So
terrible.
this child doesn't come to our school.
Correct.
So, but,
But it's under the school budget.
right.
Right. Instead of the town paying shared services directly
Correct.
for educational services.
You know, again, we have no control in state and federal. And, you know, we do want to provide the best education for every child, but
Absolutely.
it's the largest unfunded mandate that the state has ever imposed on us. Back in the mid-70s, this was all supposed to be 100%. And now excess cost is underfunded and we don't even get the full amount of excess cost
Right.
reimbursement.
Well, that's the thing, is aren't looking amount, like 40% of our school being high need. And then a student like this, and then we don't get a penny from the state, meanwhile Colebrook gets $350,000 for support, like, is there any, like,
They look at the town wealth and
like,
for
they don't
good,
care.
bad or ugly, Norfolk ranks among the most wealthy towns in Connecticut. So we're not gonna get the kind of break that Colebrook gets.
Right.
And they don't take into consideration the part-time residents. They're counted as full residents.
Property owners.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really a big one.
Mhm.
So, so the impact or the change in the budget since we last saw it and voted on it is only that students.
That's it.
uh,
Everything else
cost.
is the same.
So that said, though, the budget has changed and we need we need to vote on it.
Yeah.
So we will need a new motion, to accept this budget and to propose it to the Board of Finance. If there are, and of course, I don't want to cut up any conversation, so if there are any other questions about it or.
What was the previous increase percentage, do you remember?
342, I think.
So you went from,
I think we went from 342 to 9.54.
okay.
Yeah, it's a little over 6%, yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, when you look at the pie chart, you know, our special ed costs now are more than 28% of our budget. And it grows every year.
Right. And so technically almost one student is almost 10% of our budget.
Yep.
Right. Oh, the baby was one.
Yeah, so that's 10% increase because we have a 10% cost.
So just to say it again, because like I just sometimes can't help myself, it's a misnomer that if we have more kids come to Botel, it's somehow less money because it's not. You know, you have
That cost per pupil is.
cost per
not- is
pupil,
not the-
it's
the same. Okay, well,
I'll make a motion to approve the revised, amended,
Amended.
amended, the 2024-2025 budget to be presented to the Board of Finance.
I will second it.
Second,
Yeah.
all right, all those in favor? Opposed? No, that motion carries. All right, thank you. All right, well, there's still,
Well,
there's still
thank
things I want to do, so don't pack up yet. As long as we can leave by 7:50. Also on our. We go through these really quickly, I think. Let's see.
Survey.
Yes, so. General initiations, curriculum and. So, under the, I guess this would be, this can fall under our communications committee. We talked about this survey, sending out this survey that we wanted to send to the town of Norfolk. And as I recall, the timing that we discussed was to have it in the May issue or the May issue, right? Or the June issue?
I thought May.
I think that, and I know one of the things that, I know we want to try to get as many sort of, as many residents as we can, because it's important that we have all of our constituents. We also though want to have results tallied, I think, in time for the August meeting, so we can try to discuss it then early in our school year, so we can make sure to know how to inform the choices that we make from there. Just to remind everybody, the things that we had talked about were to put out a flyer, like a paper flyer that we could put around town that would give people essentially 3 options for how to submit their response to this question. The question is, what hopes and considerations should be prioritized as we craft the vision for Hotel School? And the 3 ways that people can respond was either online with the QR code, or they can email to a survey address, or to write things at a paper Dropbox. The hope being that this would cover all the ways that people might want to be able to participate. Something to keep in mind with some of these things. Now, the beauty of the QR code is and the website is that it would go to the Thought Exchange site that will synthesize the answers using AI to give us some like very clear, very kind of someone other than us will look over these things and kind of give us a summation of the things that comes to it. If things are emailed to us or given to us as a Dropbox, I propose that someone, maybe someone in our communications committee or someone, enter those things into Thought Exchange so that they can all go through the same process. So what we really need to do, I think, is to just confirm that we like the way the flyer we could change all the way up until the 10 minutes before we put it up. But the ad for Norfolk Now, in order to get into the May issue, would have to be submitted by like the 20th of April. So I just wanted to have everybody give their thoughts, make sure that I was good with everyone.
So these are options, right? You're asking.
No, they would both.
This goes to Norfolk Now. Why
It would
would
be
this
just
just go to Norfolk Now as an insert?
We could do it as an insert, it'd be much more expensive, but.
How? What's
I mean,
more expensive than?
Well,
Norfolk
I mean,
Now?
it's like
$50.
$40 or like 125. So we can do.
I don't know, that would increase our budget.
Increase our budget. Because I like this a lot. I
You
think
like
this
the
is
full,
very-
the full page.
I think, I see
With
something
two
like this
pieces
and I
of-
may not read.
Yeah.
I see something like this and I will.
Pictures. People like pictures.
Yeah,
They do.
that's it.
Yeah.
Visuals.
Can you put a kid on there?
Yeah.
I was gonna say the
Don't
same
take
thing,
the cost
because
off.
I think it's easy to be like, oh, that school is so expensive, that building, and it's not a building, the school isn't the building, the school is
It's the
the
kids.
experience for the kids, for their education.
And not the
Would one of you want to like,
Here, what picture
we
do you
need
want?
a child who agrees to having
I
their.
actually have a great picture of his kid from the pasta dinner
Oh.
and like
And-
Robbie, you know?
One other thing, and I think that somewhere there should be,
Address.
well, no, well, yeah, but just, a timeframe,
Yeah.
so your
Yes,
response
yes,
must
you're right.
be
Yes.
submitted by,
June
to be,
fifteenth or whatever.
otherwise, you know.
You're right. So what time frame do you guys want? June 15th?
When will it go into the Norfolk, no, May what?
May.
May 1st is when it
May
would come
1st.
out. So
Yeah,
June
June
1st,
15th.
June 15th,
Yeah, June. People are gonna respond in the first 2 weeks.
or they're not.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. Like,
Much time, and I think, oh, I'll do it later, so maybe a
Okay.
shorter timeframe, like the whole month of May.
So June 1st.
Yeah, June
By June
1st,
1st.
May 32nd.
Okay, so
You
June
can remind
1st.
people it's Memorial Day parade, whoever's here, like hand them out.
And
I
change
maybe
the-
have, well, my kid won't be here. Well, maybe he will be.
Use sandwich board, put Michael in sandwich board.
Right.
With this, so the QR code.
Yeah, and I'm told they're gonna be at the Berkshire store this Saturday, but not for this.
So change the photo to, for a child,
Something like
June
that.
1st. Are there other changes? I think we should have the
Maybe
thought
the
exchange
frozen
web address.
plane.
That's just, like the shield.
Yes.
Yeah,
keep the
What about
shield.
the eagle?
Yeah, I want to keep.
Yeah.
Keep the shield. Thank you.
Does anybody have a good picture from the play? I do. Of the kids? You do, yeah. They have like the cans. In the front.
Isn't that a lot of parental consents to him?
We have it, we have it, you know,
Okay.
on Hop Top. But speaking of play, if you don't already know, 5 of our Botel students have lead roles in the Mary Poppins play up at Region 7, which is just, I mean, Bert and Mary and Michael and Jane, and I mean, everybody. I mean, that all the major roles are,
Mr. Banks.
Mr. Banks are
Yeah.
all
And Mr.
filled,
Banks.
all filled by,
Dahlia.
actually, they were sick, filled by Norfolk.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're very talented.
Is that great?
I ordered my pizza tonight.
Excellent.
I gotta buy my tickets.
All right,
Yeah.
so I think if we approve this concept, that,
Yeah.
I think that over email, that we could finalize the design. Everybody feels okay with that, right?
Yes.
Okay. But we're looking for an insert. We're looking for a deadline of June 1st, looking to change the photo. Add the website, because not everybody likes QR code. I'm gonna, as long as it's not insanely long, I'll add the URL.
You can do
Is
a
it an
Bitly or
insert or is it
something.
like a half page ad?
No, it's the one that goes in the center. It's like.
Or a full page ad is cheaper than an insert, so we'll do a full page.
Oh,
It's not, you know, as long as they can accommodate that.
Well, the nice thing about an incident, so they can take and put it on their refrigerator, you know, I mean.
That's
or they
Or
can
they'll
put it
just
out.
drop it on the floor and post
Yeah, I was
that.
gonna say where it slides
Okay,
out.
you're right, okay, go with the centerfold.
Okay, all
I
right,
can
great.
see if I can write a little blurb about like why the Board of Ed is looking for this. I'll email Ruthie. And just be like, you can put it next to it or on top of it. Just so
Okay.
people are like, okay, what do they want?
Mhm.
Is that okay with you?
I mean, I think that's fine. It seems to me that the kind of, the more attraction we get, the better, so.
Okay. I'll reach out.
Okay. All right, excellent.
Okay.
Well, so the only thing left on our budget is to talk about the community outreach coordinator. I want to table that till our next meeting. But with everything there covered, unless there's something else we need.
Can I just say that the sixth grade, the upper intermediary raffle is going on until the 20th, and Jay's lovely wife Danielle is helping to organize that. I should have brought in the flyer today so you could all purchase your raffle tickets.
Yeah, I need the QR code. Yeah, can you send that to me? To
The
design?
QR code?
Well, I meant to do it the other day and it didn't go through, so I wanted to get it finalized my purchase.
So if you are interested in purchasing raffle tickets for various gift cards and baskets and whatever, let me know. But the kids will be out in front of the Berkshire store Saturday morning selling physical tickets.
Oh,
We're gonna
We
make them
also have
early.
more,
I don't know how early, Janet, oh wait, you're not going.
I'm not going, but we also, I think she said 9 o'clock or 8:30 for the morning breakfast rush.
8:30, okay.
But we also
8:30
have a lot of
and then 10.
icebox gear still
I'm
too.
getting, you know, I'm an older person now, so I want to go give the kids a hard time. I feel like that comes with my new birthday.
You're distinct, Anne, it's
Well,
distinct.
you're still a pup.
You have a senior discount for these tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Okay,
took notes for the PTO. To report in.
I'm so sorry. Well, can you tell them, let's see,
It was, the
Please.
play, the book fair was the best book fair we've had in a number of years. We're doing a bus driver appreciation, teacher and staff, luncheon appreciation. Talent show in the end of June, beginning of June. The spring learning, celebration of learning and spring concert is beginning of June. Marching maybe perhaps in the Memorial Day parade. as
Oh,
well.
fantastic.
I'm representing, yep, locally, and the 5th and 6th grade dance. Had a couple of great fundraisers and, the plays.
PTO is killing it. Way to go, PTO.
Yes, they are. Did you see my shout out in the newsletter?
Excellent job. Really good. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Yeah, really good. Sorry to have rushed through.
I just never took
That's really great. Thank you for all that information and for all that work. All right, so on that very nice high note, would anyone like to call for a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Would anyone like to second the motion to adjourn?
It's the reflection of that.
All those in favor?
I'm afraid you gotta find
Thank
it.
you, Janet.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Upstairs or downstairs? We want to cram into that little room.
I don't know, Peter's upstairs.
Oh.
There is this.